What is going on, everybody? Hope you are having a wonderful day so far. Um, on this podcast, I've sat down with the one and only Camea. I apologize profusely because I actually called her the wrong name throughout the whole. I called her Camea, and her actual name's Camea. So I apologize for that, Camea. Camea is a Seattle-born producer DJ. Lived in New York, also lived in Berlin for the last 14, 15 years. She writes unbelievable techno. She has been a huge part of the minimal techno scene from back in the day, running an insane record label called Clink, which I didn't know. I learned a lot on this podcast about her. I'm going to stop talking and just let you guys listen to it. Towards the end, we were about to close up, and then we ended up having another 20-minute conversation. So stay on the podcast. Don't stop it. Listen to the end. It's a really good one. So without further ado, Camea. Camea, what's cooking?
Hi. Not much. Just got back from Colombia.
Yeah, I saw that. How was it?
It was super fun. Yeah,
That
really
hotel,
good time.
that hotel room looked amazing.
So amazing. Yeah, it was. I felt like I was living in an Amazon rainforest, basically.
Yeah. Do you play over there often?
Yeah, many times. I go there. I'm in Colombia. I would say 3 to 4 times a year.
Oh,
I've
damn.
been I've been going there for I would say almost 15 years now.
Amazing.
So I have a really good relationship with the people. They're amazing. They're super fun to play for.
I've
So
never been. I need to go.
no,
No, I've not really done much of that part of the world really. Um, I've done Brazil. That's about it.
okay. And actually, I have not done Brazil. That's
Oh,
like the one
really?
I have been to. Yeah, I've always wanted to go, but I've never been. I
Do you,
think one time I played in Curitiba, but
yeah,
that
I
was
played
many
there as
years ago.
well.
Yeah, that was
Yeah,
fun.
I played some random festival, and they lost my luggage, and I had stupidly. This was at the beginning of my career. Stupidly, I was traveling in flip flops, and I'm not too sure why. Um,
You're one of those?
I'm not one of those, but I clearly was back then. This was like 7 6 7 years ago. Um, I was in flip flops and sweatpants, and it was the days when I would always check luggage, always
Yeah,
it was. I think it was like my first tour ever, like proper tour,
yeah.
and I didn't
The
have
early days
I
before
didn't
you figured out
yeah
not
I
to
didn't
check
have
luggage.
didn't have a clue what I was doing. So they lost my luggage, and then I had to. It was like beautiful weather, and then all of a sudden, I landed in Curitiba or however you say it, and
Mm.
it just started raining, and I was playing in a festival, and I think it was like me, Pete Tong. I can't remember who else was on the lineup, but I literally had to put bags on my feet because I was still in flip flops and was just walking around this festival with bags on my
Like
feet,
literally bags,
literally
like
black
plastic.
bags. Yeah.
You didn't slip?
No, I kind of took it slow. Um, and then DJ'd in bags because the stage was wet. I was just like, this was, yeah, I can't even remember it was like in the middle of nowhere as well.
Wow.
So random. And then I got back and my luggage was at my hotel and they found it. And I was like, okay, that's better.
Wow. Amazing. Yeah, I kind of have an allergy to flip-flops on airplanes. When I see bare feet, I'm just like, no,
Are you
no,
not a foot
no.
person?
Yeah.
Doesn't do it for you. Yeah,
Mm-mm.
I'm actually wearing flip flops now, but
Are you?
that's because it's hot as shit in Detroit right now, and my
Oh, you're
shoot.
in Detroit.
Yeah, yeah. My
Cool.
my studio doesn't have AC, so I have to wear minimum attire just to get through the day in the
Yeah.
studio. It's disgusting.
You just inspired me to take my shoes off.
Yes, this is like OnlyFans.
I was like, wait, why do I have shoes on right now?
Exactly. Um, so are you in Seattle right now?
Yeah, I'm in Seattle for the summer. I was in Berlin for the entire lockdown, and I've
Mm,
been living there for 15 years.
yeah.
And just with not touring for a year and a half and not being with my family,
Mm,
I just needed a break. And I've been touring a lot over here this summer, and
yeah.
it's just been amazing to be out and reconnecting with friends and promoters that I've
Mm,
been playing for years, and just kind of, I don't know, reconnecting with everybody.
yeah.
It was a really hard time in Berlin because we did that second lockdown. It was like 7 months or
Mm,
something, and it was just too much. It was super bad for everybody's mental health, and especially people that were artists that couldn't communicate in the way they're used to communicating,
yeah.
and share themselves. So yeah, I decided to come home and tour in the United States for the summer and Central America, and I'm having a great time. It's been
Yeah.
really great.
I think that's a
Yeah.
good option because Europe right now is still not in a good place.
Yeah, it's pretty nerve-wracking
Yeah,
actually, because I don't know. I mean, right now we're in summer, but I don't know what's going to happen as soon as fall and
exactly.
flu season comes
Yeah.
back in with the Delta variant. So, yeah, I'm really grateful to be out touring again this summer, and that it's been so much fun. I mean, I see you're out there too,
Yeah.
and it just feels so good, right? Just to be around people and feel the love and give the love, and it's great.
I think it's something that like I don't know about you, but during lockdown, obviously I missed touring, and but I kind of got into like the swing of life without
Yeah.
touring, if that makes sense. I don't know, but
Oh.
I there was always definitely something missing, and then now coming back, I'm like, okay, I get it now. I understand why I what was missing in my life. But it's still like I don't know. I think yeah, I it's amazing. But I think the thing that I get weirded out the most is that it's not happening everywhere. It's just here, really, and England and like a few other countries. But there's still so
The
many.
show.
Yeah, there's still so many countries. Like I've still got friends. I'm sure you do as well that can't even get into America.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true. And then yeah, it's just really hard, the whole thing, I think, for artists, especially. How did you feel when you went on your first gig back?
Uh,
I was curious your
it
experience.
was like I'll be honest, like coronavirus doesn't scare me. Like it
Okay.
really doesn't bother me. Like I've had it I got it in October.
Oh,
Um and don't get me wrong,
October 2020?
yeah. And don't get me wrong, I wouldn't want people to have it. I wouldn't
Yeah.
want especially like I don't want anyone to be sick. I don't want anyone to get the flu. I don't want anyone to have pneumonia or anything. I don't want that on people, but
Right.
for me and for a majority of the people I'm around, I'm cool with it. Like if you got it, yeah, the chances are you're going to be fine. If you know what I mean. If you look after yourself, I've don't get me wrong. I've had some friends that aren't the healthiest and they've had it and it's hit them really hard.
Yeah.
But for me, like going back to a show, coronavirus was the last thing on my mind. Like which I kind of try and keep that mentality
Yeah.
because I really don't want I think enough like we're talking about it now, but like and I don't really talk about it that often because I think it's everywhere and I don't think it's the healthiest thing to just always be worrying about stuff in the background. I think we have to live our lives and obviously you have to live your life safely and you can't ignore what's going on because there is a pandemic going on. But I think what we do or for the reason why I do what I do is to make people happy and allow people to escape kind of like everyday worries in life by playing
Right.
music. So when I'm going to a show, I try to keep that mentality and not worry about it. What about you?
Well, Actually, the first show I had back was I did a few Columbia shows in December, and they 2020, and they actually had really super good social distancing and pandemic measures and fever checks and
Yeah.
all of these things in place. So it was a very safe events, but they were very small to make
Yeah.
sure that there wasn't going to be like a super spreader event, and that was very respectful and good. And then I started touring again in May. And my first show back, I was getting vaccinated the Monday after the first
Mm.
weekend. And I had only done live streams for like 5 months.
Yeah.
And it took me a minute to actually remember how to let people back in. Like
Mm.
it wasn't like I just got up and it was riding a bike. I had, with the live streams, you're doing it all in your
Yeah.
imagination and you're like, connecting with people that are going to be there
Mm.
or are there live if it's totally live, and you're kind of doing it all in here, but you're really having to feed yourself with the energy and your imagination.
Mm.
And so when I first got up on the stage in Miami in May, it took me a second to learn how to sort of emotionally let people back in,
Yeah.
because I had been isolated for so long and not around big crowds of people.
Mm.
And I also, when I walked in, I chose to I had my mask on, and then I got in the booth, and I just kind of had this moment where I was like, I want to take my mask off
Yeah.
and I want to play and I want to,
Mm.
this is what I want to do right now. And I just want to feel the people and feel everything. And I did. And I got very, I was very lucky. I got vaccinated on the Monday, and I still have been healthy
That's
the
cool.
whole time. I've never had the virus to my
Yeah.
knowledge.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, it took me that first weekend just to kind of get to used to being around people again, and then get used to being around people without a mask on. I
Yeah.
forgot what breath smelled like. So I was like, "Oh, you had some garlic today,"
Yeah.
and
Exactly.
"Oh, you're pretty drunk. You just had a shot of tequila." So I was not prepared for just like how much I was smelling everything. Because I had been so distanced from people for so long.
Mm.
So, but it was like riding a bike. By the second weekend of touring, I had gotten vaccinated, and I was feeling great and back to normal again. So
Yeah, it is a strange feeling. I don't know for you, but for me, that on that first show back, I changed my rider, my technical rider. I've said this on the podcast before, so sorry to anybody that's heard it, but they changed. So I changed my rider to like all the new Pioneer stuff, but I hadn't actually played with it. So I
the
was
new mixer too.
the
With
V10.
the okay,
Yeah.
yeah.
So
I have a
I was
story about.
like getting into it was an outdoors event. It was like 5,000 people, and I was just like, oh shit, I don't know how to use these things. So the first half hour, I was like nervous, really nervous, because there's 5,000 people in front of me, and
Yeah.
also really nervous because I don't know what button does what.
Mhm.
But I think within half an hour, I was like, okay, let's do this, and then I managed to look up and was like, okay, cool, we can have fun now. What's your thoughts on the whole masks and raving?
I have to be honest, this is a really difficult subject for me because in the last year and a half, I think one of the things that I've really looked inward on is evaluating what is freedom and what is responsibility.
Yeah.
And fundamentally, I do believe, especially after having such a severe lockdown in Germany, I do believe that people have the right to the freedom of choice, whether
Totally.
I agree or not. So I think it's important definitely to keep people safe, but I also think it's important to acknowledge that, if people are healthy and they're vaccinated, that, they should have their freedom of choice and to take their own responsibility for themselves.
Yeah.
They can enter the event if they want, and they don't have to if they don't want.
Yeah.
If they're not healthy, then maybe it's not a good idea to go to a party right now. But I think the idea that everything is I don't know. It's a tough subject for me, to be honest, because I want it to go well and I want everybody to be safe and
Yeah.
everybody to have a great time. But I don't know, how much over regulating everything is going to, in the end, make much of a difference anyway. I mean, I've been playing events all summer that have had no masks,
Mm.
no social distancing, and everything has been okay.
Yeah.
There hasn't been extra spreading of things at parties and super spreading events and stuff like that. So, but I guess in the end, I think it's a good idea to follow whatever the regulations that the government feels is appropriate
Yeah.
for that,
It's
that
tough, isn't it?
area.
Because everything's so political. And I think like
Yeah.
that's the thing that I struggle with the most about it all, because I don't really talk about my political views or just my general views on the world
Yeah.
unless I feel really passionate about something.
Mm.
Because I just don't
And
I just don't know if anybody needs to hear me talk about stuff that I probably know nothing about, and just headline reading. But it's a very strange time that none of us has experienced before.
Yeah.
And I think that the fact that we're all still in the unknown of what the hell's going on in the world makes a lot of people think that they're professionals, and it gives a lot of power to a lot of people that doesn't necessarily should have the power.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that tell everyone what they should and shouldn't be doing, and I'm a huge believer of allowing people to make their own decisions in life, and whatever's right and wrong to me might not be right and wrong to you, or your beliefs could be completely different to mine, but it's also about respecting other people's beliefs as well, and other people's
Exactly.
opinions. And I think in this time we've kind of lost that respect for
I
for
agree.
a lot of people's kind of opinions. Um, Especially, I don't know what it's like in Germany, but I've noticed it more being back in the US. Because in the UK, like, I find, tell me if I'm wrong, but in the UK, like, it's political, but there's not really a political divide much in the UK. It's like your friend might believe in somebody in a different party, but you're all pretty the same, if you know what I mean. All your views are pretty the same. In America, there's such a divide. But then that also comes down to public health. There's a divide in everything. And I
Yeah.
feel it divides families, friendship groups, and everything like that. And I don't understand why. Is it it's not the same in Berlin, in Germany, is it? Is it just an American
Um,
thing, or do you find?
I think no, there is a divide.
Mm,
It's usually, between more sort of conservative and liberal
yeah,
ideas. And there was definitely a divide in Germany. I think not as severe in the
yeah,
United States. The
yeah,
percentage is, more to people. To Germany, I really appreciated how everybody got really on board
yeah,
with everything, and they followed the guidelines,
mm,
but there was definitely some protesters and
yeah,
anti-vaxxers and these kind of things going on, but not to the extreme that it
yeah.
was happening in America. But we were also in the middle of a major election as well. So,
A lot of things
um,
happened in America at that time during
yeah,
COVID, didn't it? And it would kind of like really change the whole country up,
yeah,
massively. I guess some pros and some cons for sure.
yeah, yeah, for sure.
How I want to talk about Berlin. How the hell did you, like, 15 years in Berlin, now back here? Um, how did it all
Mm.
start going to Berlin? What was that? What was that? What was it like in Berlin 15 years ago? Because the wall wasn't long down.
Well, when I first arrived in Berlin, it was, gosh, 2007 was when
Okay.
I got there. Yeah. And the city was a much different. When was the first time you went to Berlin?
I was probably it's 2010, I think.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
So not much longer after I had.
yeah.
I mean, I can't speak for Germans and what they've been through in Berlin and
Of
rebuilding the
course.
city and their experience. But when I first got there, it was much more raw. And there was still, I lived in Friedrichshain,
Mm-hmm.
was the first apartment there. And there were still squatter buildings
Yeah.
and abandoned apartment buildings that hadn't been taken over and rebuilt. So it was very raw. There was all of the old clubs were cheap and
Yeah.
free to be as open as long as they wanted,
Yeah.
and you could get shots for €1
The
and
good
stay in the
old
club for
days.
3
Yeah.
days. And yeah, it was super fun. I mean, now it's definitely turned more into a modern kind of metropolis city, and it's very different. I mean, Tesla is coming there,
Oh,
and
really?
and yeah, they're building a
Damn.
plant there. I think it's on the Lichtenberg side and on the other side, closer to where Tegel Airport was. And then Siemens is building like an innovation city. And they've just been tearing down all of these old places that used to be old warehouses where clubs were, like Tape Club and
Mm,
places like this, and just rebuilding these new modern micro apartment buildings
yeah.
everywhere. So it's changed a lot. But it is cleaner, so that's good. But I kind of liked the old raw Berlin.
Mm,
That's what made it so special. And it was the same thing when I lived in New York before Williamsburg was built up. It was
yeah.
also this warehouse artist vibe as well. And I happened to sort of catch Berlin on the tail end of that, which was
Mm.
really great.
Did you live
So.
in Brooklyn before Berlin then?
Yeah, sorry. So basically, I moved from Seattle to Brooklyn in 2002
Yeah.
on July 4th, actually. And I was really like, I just knew I wanted to DJ. Like that
Mm,
was my dream. In Seattle, I would lay in bed and listen to Global Underground CDs, and I would look up at the ceiling and be like, this is what I want to do,
yeah.
universe. I want to do this and fantasize. So I knew New York was like the closest I could get to Europe. And since the Global Underground CDs were coming from London and all of this, so amazing. So I actually arrived in New York with one record bag and one suitcase, and I knew like one person there. And I remember, and I had no street smarts. I was like a Seattle
Yeah,
suburb
I was gonna
girl.
say from Seattle to New York.
Yeah, totally. And I was standing in Queens on the platform, on the train platform, and it just kind of hit me. And I
Mm.
was like, what am I doing? Like, this is insane. Like, this is totally insane. I didn't know anybody. I didn't even know what clubs to go to. I knew nothing about New York. I just knew I wanted to be there.
Yeah.
So I just, I ended up making friends and running around begging everybody to play parties for a couple years. And then back then it was like women were getting opening slots basically
Yeah.
if we were lucky,
Mm.
and it was sort of like the supporting act.
Yeah.
But then I ended up meeting really great people and getting into sort of the underground Brooklyn scene. And I started Clink, which blew up really fast. It was my
Yeah.
first label I did. And I was like, kind of within months, I was getting requests from Europe, and I started traveling over there.
Mm.
And then 2006, and once I got off the plane in Berlin, I was playing Watergate
Mm.
and Bar 25.
Yeah.
And I just knew
To stay.
I don't know. It was beautiful. It was spring. It was June, I think. It was during the World Cup. It was actually the year it was in Berlin.
Yeah.
And it was just so beautiful and green. And I just felt free right when I got off the airplane. And I knew I was going to move there by the end of the day. So by the time I was done with my set at Bar 25, I was like, I'm moving.
I'm done. That
Yeah.
feeling of what you get when you find somewhere that you really want to live is like the best feeling in the world. And I don't know how to explain it. I get it every time I land in New York. Every single time. The minute I
Yeah.
I love it. I used to live there. I've done like a stint of 4 months living there when I was touring initially, but every time I go there I'm like, oh, I love this place so much.
It's so nice there.
It's the
It
best.
really is. But it's also changed so much. I mean, I used to live in Fort Greene, and Brooklyn to me is unrecognizable.
Yeah.
Like when you go down to downtown Brooklyn, it's, oh gosh, it's so
nothing.
different.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
yeah, I love it.
I'd never been to Brooklyn when it was Brooklyn. I've only ever experienced it as how it is now. Um,
Yeah.
Obviously, you can go out further and it's still a little bit rawer, but it Williamsburg, Bushwick, and Bed-Stuy and those types of areas, it's pretty gentrified.
Yeah, I would say so.
Well,
Slightly.
it's more expensive than the city now, isn't it? Which is wild.
That
Like,
could be
yeah,
actually.
rent is more expensive than the city, and you're just like,
Yeah.
this is crazy. But there's
Yeah.
something about it. There's something about New York that I just love.
Yeah.
It's just a vibe. It's yeah,
But that's what makes it New York.
exactly,
That's, it's
exactly.
there's no city in the world like New York.
There
It
isn't.
just feels amazing.
There isn't.
Yeah.
But
I feel
there's no city like Berlin in the world.
Yes, this is true as well. I played New York twice in the last 3 months, and I still get the vibe. Like when I get off, I always have a little moment where I think to myself, could I live here
Yeah.
again? Because it's just so nice.
If I was really rich, I would go. I'd be there tomorrow.
Fair
I
enough.
think
Yeah.
like I just don't want to pay the rent. If I could afford to buy somewhere nice and have a comfortable life there, I'd go.
Yeah.
But I don't want to spend $4,000 a month on an apartment to for no when I'm never there.
Yeah.
It's
And
just,
then it's like a shoebox apartment. It's
yeah,
a micro
exactly.
apartment.
And you can't
So
write
it's not
music, so then you got to go get in a I don't know, another
studio.
studio. That's like another $1,000 to $1,200. You're like $5,500 a month. You could buy a mansion in pretty much any other city, and
True.
yeah, I don't know. I will be there one day, but it's
It's worth it.
it's it
I mean,
is.
it is an amazing city to live, but yeah, it's gonna cost you a lot of money.
Which
And
Berlin is pretty cheap.
it is, but it's going up as well.
Yeah, I bet.
I think rent prices have tripled since I moved there, at
Damn.
least. Yeah.
It must have
Yeah.
been super cheap when you first moved there then.
So cheap.
Yeah.
Yeah. People were getting like 85 square meter flats for like 400, 500 bucks, euros a month. It was insane. Yeah. It was super amazing. And it's kind of sad to see it change, but I'm also really grateful to have had the experience because it's inevitable with a major city like that, and all cities in the world. I mean, even Seattle is getting super, super expensive
Yeah.
as well. It happened to San Francisco. So, I mean, I'm just grateful that I got to catch that at such
Definitely.
a magical time in music and culture and, freedom of movement and dancing. And it was really special.
I
So,
think tech fucks it all up for everyone, right? It like, and
yeah.
I don't like. I love tech, if I'm honest, and I think it does some great things for the world, but also it just stifles like any creativity in major cities to a certain extent because it just makes everything so expensive.
Yeah, I think the earning potential is just so much greater than other jobs, and then it kind of creates this, really big imbalance. So yeah.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough. So do you still have a place out there?
In Berlin?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have an apartment
Nice.
in Berlin.
Do you have a studio in your apartment? Or is it
Yes,
separate?
I do. I used to have a studio in Hackischer Markt in Mitte, and then I moved it home, and then I had a baby. So the studio got turned into so many stories like this. Like, oh, okay, time to shut it down. So I have kind of a half studio erected in another room in my apartment. And that's been fine. I have my gear hooked up to there, but I'm actually discovering more and more. I like producing digitally on my laptop. I'm having a really good
Really?
time with it. And there's so many great plugins and everything now, and the Roland suite is amazing. And so I'm having a pretty good time simplifying my studio more,
Yeah.
which is cool. But yeah, I still like my gear.
Wait, did you initially start with a load of gear? Was that your kind of like start into production?
No, actually not at all. The My first thing was a laptop and a sound card, and I think it was Ableton 3,
Okay.
maybe. Yeah, in my apartment in Brooklyn, and I had a little railroad apartment that I shared. I don't know if you know Ambivalent from Minus.
No.
We were yeah, he we were roommates, and we both loved minimal techno, and so we had a little DJ room where we'd play our vinyl and practice for our shows. And and then I had this little
Those are the
laptop.
best days, right? Those are the best days when you'd like
Yeah.
play shows to your bedroom wall and like just have the best time and just imagine what your future is going to
Oh, yeah.
be.
I would do like epic 4-hour sets to my wall.
Yeah, to no one. And you're just like, what the fuck are you doing? I've actually,
I was like, oh,
I've
this is gonna
actually
be
just,
amazing someday.
I know, I've actually just paid a carpenter to make me a DJ booth for my house. And
Nice.
yeah, I'm like, I haven't had decks in my house since I was 18, I think. I stopped.
Yeah.
I stopped playing at home, and I was like, okay, I need to have a vinyl. I need to have my records out. I need to be able to play some records when I want to, or if I buy records to go and I want to be able to play them.
Yeah.
So I bought the Pioneer decks, the Pioneer vinyls, which are like the carbon copy of the Technics.
Okay, cool.
So I'm looking forward to getting them out of the box. But they've been sat here. I bought them right at the beginning of lockdown, and then I moved back to the UK for lockdown.
Yeah.
So they've just been sat there for like nearly 2 years, just waiting to be opened.
Amazing.
I can't wait. I can't wait.
I still have my first turntables, actually. They made it all the way to Berlin with me.
Really?
I got them in 1999. I got my first Techniques, and I still have them. And I even still have my first DJM 500 mixer.
Yeah.
I don't use it anymore, but it just sits there, it kind of off to the side.
That's
and
amazing.
I can't get rid of it for some reason.
You should make it into like some furniture or something like that. I don't know how.
Yeah, I could do something with it someday.
Or just frame it.
Like a big,
yeah, like a 3D frame. And then you can just like, it look good. Yeah, I'd never had Technics. I had the Stantons, the straight 150s. Don't know if do you remember those?
Yes.
I
those are tough.
Yeah, they are, because the motor on them was so powerful. So like every time it wasn't like Technics. So every time I played on Technics after, I was like, I can't use Technics because they're just it's so different.
You're so used to the other pitch adjuster.
Yeah, but I chucked them away when I was in lockdown. They were just absolutely battered. So they were bye-bye.
Okay. So, but I'm curious to know if you like the Pioneers.
I don't know. I've never used them. Used them. So when I use them, I haven't played vinyl for I don't even know how long. I've had records of mine pressed on vinyl, and I've never played them on vinyl.
No.
Yeah, that's how long I haven't played vinyl for.
Yeah.
So, do you still carry records around?
Not anymore. No. I still buy. I like to buy stuff that's vinyl only and then encode it. So to have it that way. But no, I think my days of carrying vinyl around the world are over. I'm very happy playing AIF or WAV files. I love the sound quality. I love working on the Pioneers. It's a good thing. And yeah, I carried vinyl around for so many years, and especially going through New York with a record bag on my back through the subways, going from party to party and playing, and so I hold it dear to my heart forever, but I think that time is over for me.
Yeah, 100%. I had Soul Clap on the podcast last week. And,
I saw that.
And they still carry vinyl. And I'm like, you are crazy people to just like, I couldn't think of anything worse than carrying vinyl around again. Just because of like, it's so unreliable as well nowadays. Vinyl decks in clubs are so unreliable because we just know that every DJ's used it as a drinks holder for the last 15 years, and they're just like never that good. But I don't know what. Could you even imagine what it was like? Did you tour with vinyl?
Yes,
Like,
yeah, I did. But actually, oh gosh, let's see. I think 2006, I ended up switching over, maybe
mm.
2005, I switched over to Serato when
Okay,
Serato
yeah,
came out. And then I switched to Tractor. And I did Tractor for a long time with the vinyl encoder.
yeah.
And then I ended up switching to Sync, and I did Sync for a long time,
Or sync.
a couple years.
I'd never heard
Like
of sync.
the playing internally with the
Oh,
controllers.
okay, yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah, no, sorry, not like, yeah, playing internally with the
Mm,
controllers, which was fun. But I found that I started to become less and less engaged with
yeah,
sort of spontaneity, and I really like the rush
yeah,
of going back between two, three, four
yeah,
decks. And I just like the feeling. I like it when it goes a little off and you've got to run over
yeah, yeah,
and,
yeah.
get everything on. Like that's what keeps you really engaged and really engaged in what you're doing,
Mm.
and I found that when I was playing internally, I would drink a lot more, and I was a little bit more kind of, like not, I was a little bit less stressed, and I kind of need that stress to feel alive
Yeah.
when I play. So yeah, I switched to the Pioneers.
I
I don't
did
know.
some when I was like a resident in Ibiza. I did like when I was doing like really long sets. I used to play off my laptop, and I found it kind of, yeah, it was kind of similar to what you said. It was just like is a disconnect because something about, I don't know about you, but when I search for records from the vinyl days, I'd always look for the cover. And I wouldn't
Mhm.
really recognize records by their name or by the artist. I would just recognize it by their cover, and I still do that today because
Yeah.
the little pictures on the Pioneer. And I feel like I could never really do that on laptops. It was always just like you're just like picking from a playlist,
Yeah. Yeah, for
and
sure.
you're never not like scrolling around and going, "Oh shit, I've not played that record in ages. Let's play that one. It's good. It's gonna be a good one."
Yeah.
I don't know. It's strange, and also just the whole sync button thing is just a bit boring.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I need the rush
We don't
for
do much
sure.
anyway as DJs. We don't really do much, do we? We just stand behind and push a few buttons. Like I like to make it a little bit harder.
Yeah, I'm quite a busy DJ.
Yeah.
I'm moving around a lot, and I'm doing a lot of different like effects and looping and layering. I'm quite busy. Sometimes I'm too busy, and I have to like remember just to take a breath, because I could play 25, 30 tracks in an hour. Like
Yeah.
I just go through. I get really in the zone, and I just like to keep moving, and I feel a big connection because people really listen when you're moving fast. They're really like listening to the changes. And I mean, it is kind of a techno thing, but
Yeah.
yeah, so but actually Tractor native is give the new Tractor goes with Pioneer, and it
Yeah.
sets into the CDJ. So they're actually sending me some gear so I can implement into a hybrid set, and
That's
I'm
cool.
going to check it out and see. So I might be back on the laptop soon because I can still be engaged on
That makes sense.
the yeah.
Yeah, because they
So
do the record boxing as well, don't they? With Pioneer, and that's pretty similar. You just plug it in and link it to all of the decks, and it's pretty much the same. Um,
yeah,
it's pretty interesting, to be fair, what they can do.
yeah.
But I don't know.
I still
I'm also
I-
worried about having my fucking laptop in a club.
yeah, that's true.
I
I
feel,
know. Yeah,
I feel like you kind of need a DJ laptop, like with nothing else
separate.
on, because if it gets it like the laptop that I have is all my production laptop as well. So if I was to take that to the club and then somebody spilled a drink on it, it'd be game over.
Yeah, that's true. But I mean, these days though, aren't those? I mean, nowadays
You're
booths
jinxing
are
yourself massively if you say that's not going to happen.
well, no, but I mean, back in the days, that I could see that happening a lot more,
Yeah,
because they nowadays everything is so professional, and you have this booth and it's all closed off, and only certain people can come in,
yeah.
and there's all, you know what I mean? It's not as a rock star as it used to
It's
be.
not,
Like
is
back
it?
in the days, you'd be playing and I would be like rammed up against the booth, and people would be spilling thing, setting their drinks next to the
Yeah.
turntables and walking away. And it's like nowadays, if somebody sets a drink, there's a security guard
To
there
pick it
right
up.
away to
Yeah,
move
yeah.
it. And, this kind of stuff. So I think, I think it's more safe than it used to be to have that stuff back there.
What do you prefer? Do you prefer it how it was or how it is now?
Well, I mean, that's a tough question.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah. I don't know. I think I'm so grateful for what I've been able to experience in my life and my career. I feel really, really lucky. And but I do appreciate professional sound booths and good audio,
Yeah.
sound engineers that care what it sounds like, that want to come and talk to you and get feedback. And, if you say you need something, they fix it right away. This kind of stuff is super nice, but I like the raw days too.
I think for me, do you like people in the booth with you? Like partying?
I do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do. I mean, I don't, I'm kind of like a whatever goes kind of person. So if I'm there and people want to come in and dance, I see some people in the crowd and they're like, can we go up there? And I'll let them up as long as they don't talk to me when I play.
Yeah.
So like, that's only sometimes occasionally I'll get somebody who doesn't understand that I really need to focus on what I'm doing.
Yeah.
So, and they're, bless their heart, they're super social. They want to talk and interact. But yeah, I've let several times, I let people from the crowd come and stand with me when I play and dance, and we feed off each other and give each other energy, and it's good.
Yeah. I almost have to have people in the booth. I don't know why. I think it's like, I kind of just feel like the DJ booth is almost a dance floor as well, and I want people to be enjoying themselves, and I want to be I think like when with a crowd, you can interact with the crowd to a certain extent, but when there's somebody behind you, like and you're there super close, it's just like an energy that I kind of get off them that I don't think you get from a crowd, unless it's like a really intimate like venue where it's like the DJ booth and you're there.
Yeah. Then that's fine too. Yeah, I agree. I prefer to have people in there than not in there, for sure.
Yeah, definitely. What's the plan for releases and music and shit like that?
Well, actually, I just had a couple of things out. I remixed Samina on her Cuckoo Records label, which was a really cool project that Paul Kalkbrenner and Hito and I remixed her Techno Monkey track. That was just out a few weeks ago or a month ago. And then last week, I did an album, my first album, which I wrote just before the pandemic started, kind of during my maternity leave and my time off.
Yeah.
And it was actually released the week that everything got shut down, like literally the same day. So
That's the worst.
it was really rough, but at the time there was such bigger things to be worrying about. And, it was such an important moment to be focusing on all staying together and keeping each other safe and, and mentally healthy and this stuff. So it was okay, but it was a really hard pill to swallow, to be prepared. I had prepared, a hybrid live set, and I was going to be touring, and I was supposed to present at the Ableton, what is their festival called? Anyways, I was going to be a presenter for them at one of their conferences, and everything, just the whole tour, everything got shut down within a week. Yeah. So that was a hard pill to swallow. So my friend, the reason why, Ledrick, he really loved the main track, Dystopian Love, on the album. And he asked if he could do a remix of it. And so he did, and it's super bomb. It's really good. Have I sent it to you?
Is it out?
It came out like a week ago.
I was just listening to it. It sounds great.
Okay.
I was listening to it before but I haven't got a copy. So yeah, please send me.
To you. So anyways, that came out, and yeah, actually I've been touring so much this summer. I haven't had a lot of time in the studio. So I'm actually wrapping up a new release right now, and I'm not sure what I'm going to do with it yet.
Do you still run your label?
Well, oh, this is cool news. So my Clink label is actually having its 15-year anniversary this
I was
year.
gonna say I didn't know you ran Clink.
Yeah, that was mine.
That's
Or
so
what was
cool.
mine? It was a project I did with Tim Xavier and
Mm,
another artist, Grant Aaron. And Grant and I co-owned the label together.
yeah.
And so it in 2011, I think we had kind of hit a space with the label that minimal had really run its course
Yeah.
for many years, and rather than trying to follow the trends or change the sound, I just decided that let's just put it to bed for a
Yeah.
little while. Let it had its moment, and it was an amazing experience for us and a lot of amazing people. It was such a fun movement.
You were a
And we're
huge part. That label was a huge part of that movement.
Yeah,
It was
yeah. And I
huge.
so lucky, like
Yeah.
really, I look back on that with just so it makes my heart
No, I bet.
full,
Yeah.
because it was such a good time, and I was so grateful to be in that position. But it was time to take a break. So actually I recently started working again with Tim Xavier, who's doing a remaster of all of the
Oh,
releases,
really?
and we're gonna re-upload it across all the platforms with the new masters and design some new releases for it.
Mm.
And yeah, so we're super excited to do that and kind of bring it back to people. I get all the time people are asking me for old vinyls
Yeah, I
and
bet. I bet.
all of this stuff. So yeah, we're working on that right now.
Did is the minimal scene like coming back?
I kind of feel like it
I
is.
feel
Do you
like
feel
it.
it?
Yeah, I feel like it is as well. I feel like there needs to be something like that comes back. Because at this
Yeah.
moment in time, I don't know how you feel about the techno world at this moment in time, but I feel like there needs to be a bit of a change up, personally.
Yeah, I mean, it always kind of happens this
Mm.
way, though,
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
like a sound gets, there's a couple artists that really bring something to life, and then it inspires a lot of people and they want to get involved
Totally. Yeah.
and get inspired to make music and be a part of it. And then at some point the haters come in and start saying it's boring and mundane and
Yeah.
stuff. But I mean, techno has been around forever.
Yeah, of
It's not
course.
going
Yeah. No.
anywhere. It might have its, hot moments and its harder moments, but I think from, what I've seen, it always kind of goes like this. So everybody gets, and I think especially with the pandemic,
Mm.
people really techno was already getting so huge, but then people really, where they were at home,
Yeah.
they needed to feel this energy, and in all the all of the live streams started getting faster and faster. I was up to like 147 at one point,
Yeah.
I think. And then I got back in the club and I was like, 134 is
Let's
fine.
let's chill this out a little bit.
And I was like trying to mix super fast. And I was like, you can just,
See,
cool, chill.
134 is fast for me. Like I wouldn't really class myself as like a quintessential techno artist. I play like a bit slower. And the stuff
Yeah.
I make isn't really. It's like a hybrid between. I don't know what I would even class it as. To be fair, because I don't know if it is techno. Um,
I think that makes a good DJ, though, that a DJ that doesn't classify themselves specifically, that plays to what their connection is with the
mm,
people and what the vibe is. I mean, you can be a techno artist and still go and play a great 125 BPM party if you're a good DJ and you have good taste
yeah,
in music.
that's what
And the
I want to
same,
hear. That's what I kind of. There's a lot of DJs out there that do that, but I think that's what's happened in the commercialization of dance music and scenes is that I'm going to a techno party tonight and I'm going to hear techno, or I'm going to go to a tech house party tonight and all I'm going to hear is tech house. And that's all I want to hear. And I think that's what I kind of miss to a certain extent. And I like for me is that I struggle with it myself as well, because I don't know about you, but I'm starting to get booked on like techno lineups, and I don't play quintessential techno, if that makes sense.
But are they asking you to play techno, or are they putting a
No, I guess
diverse
they're just.
lineup on there?
I guess they're just asking me to play me. I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not. I won't play what somebody asked me
Okay.
to play.
For me personally, as a festival goer, if I go to a stage, I don't want to hear the exact same
Mm.
sound for 10 hours. I want to
Same. Yeah.
hear what that artist has to offer, and I want it to be different. I mean, I get really lit up when a different artist comes on the stage and plays a completely different
Completely different.
vibe than the
Yeah.
artist before. I mean, if it's good music, it's good music.
Mm.
That's the bottom
What
line.
about a club
And
show?
hmm,
What about a club show?
what do you mean?
Like, because festivals are like festivals are festival, but club show. Do you want a diverse lineup in a club as well, or do you think it should
Yeah.
be like more of a journey? So you have like, or what's your thoughts on that?
I think it should totally be a journey
Yeah.
for sure. Yeah. Sorry, my
No, it's fine.
brightness went down. Yeah, no, uh, I actually, when I go into a club and I'm going to play, if I don't like it, if the opening DJ is already starting
Mm.
here, I think it should build up, and yeah, I totally feel that a diverse lineup is a good lineup
Mm.
for sure.
Yeah. I Do you like play? How long do you like playing really long sets, or are you specific couple of hours
It
and then you're
depends on
done?
the party. I mean, it depends on the party and my back. Because if the booth is in a certain way, after 3 hours, you're like, wow. Uh, like I'm like stretching, but yeah, no, it just depends on the party. I
Yeah.
could go for a super long time. If in Berlin, it's usually a minimum of 4 hours, like when you're
Amazing.
playing Sisyphus
Yeah.
and Berghain and these kind of places. So I can easily not look at the clock for 4 hours and be really in the zone. But yeah, it just depends.
Yeah.
How many shows I've had that week.
Have you played Tresor?
Yeah,
I've never been, but I really want to go.
it's awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah.
my housemate plays there. He's played there a few times, and there's like I want to go to Berghain and I want to go to there's lots of places, but Tresor for me, I don't know why. It's just something about that club that looks unbelievable.
It is unbelievable. It's super exciting to be there. Just even going through sort of the maze of the to get to the downstairs techno room. I always play upstairs. I don't play quite hard enough for the downstairs one. Uh,
I love Berlin. I love Berlin. It's just like
you're not hard enough.
Yeah, sorry, love.
Yeah,
You're upstairs.
Yeah, I mean, which is funny because actually I could do it, but usually I'm a little bit slower upstairs, and the upstairs room is awesome and has a void audio system, and it's really great.
Nice.
Great club. Yeah.
Well, have you got show wise coming up, or are you done with it all?
This weekend I play in Seattle here.
Nice.
Which
Whereabouts?
At the Monkey Loft.
Okay. This isn't this weekend, people. This was last weekend because this is coming out on Tuesday next week.
Okay.
So you would have just played this amazing show at Monkey Craft in Seattle.
That's I've never said a sentence like that. Last weekend I'm playing at Monkey Loft.
How was Monkey Loft? I bet it was amazing.
I heard it was amazing. Yeah, and then this week.
Yeah.
This week, I'm playing in Phoenix.
Oh, cool.
And then at Flash DC.
What day are you playing in Phoenix?
Wednesday. Are you there?
What day?
Wednesday. Wednesday.
Are you staying?
Huh?
Are you staying in Phoenix?
No, I'm actually going to DC for 2 nights, and then I play Flash on Friday.
I play Phoenix on Friday.
No.
Yeah.
But are we playing September? Is that rescheduled?
Are you playing that show? Are you coming? Could you make that show in Philly?
Yeah. Well, it's on. It's actually even listed like on my Spotify and stuff. So I hope that we're doing it.
Yeah. We're doing it. I didn't realize you could make the reschedule.
Yeah, I totally can.
Is Carlo doing it as well?
I don't know.
Me neither.
I have no idea.
This can be a good show. That I was so bummed. So anybody that's listening, Camea, Carlo, Leo, and myself were supposed to be playing Phoenix Deep Brunch. When was that supposed to be?
I played so many shows this
Yeah,
summer.
it
I
was
don't
like,
know.
I don't know. It was a month ago.
Yeah.
Put it that way.
I think it was in early July or
Yeah,
something.
and then it got rained off. I was so annoyed with that.
I was super bummed too. Like I arrived and they picked me up at the airport and they were like, we have really bad news. And I could see and then I looked at the weather and it was
Yeah,
the same because I played the same night in New York and they
yeah,
had to they had to move the party
inside.
from outdoor to indoor. And it was just a hard weekend for all of the events, I think,
Yeah,
which was really a bummer because I know they put a lot of time into it.
sucks to
So
be a promoter and when you're doing outside parties. But
mm,
I think September will be good because it's the start of the fall. Well, is it the fall? It is the fall, September, right?
yeah,
I think so. I don't know,
yeah,
but it'll be good because I like Philly. It won't be too hot.
it's nice. Right. I
And
was surprised at how hot it was when I arrived
it's
there.
super humid out there, isn't it? As well.
Yeah. I'd never been there. It was my first time actually.
It's practically the same as like weather-wise. It's the same as New York, I guess. A little bit,
Yeah.
just sweaty in the
Mhm.
summer, cold in the winter. Sick. How can people? Let's wrap this up. How can people follow you? Do all of the promo stuff, listen to your music, and all of that.
Well, the best place is Spotify.
That sigh.
Have you heard of it?
That sigh was the best. Oh, we hate doing promo, don't we? Jesus.
Yeah, no, it's all good. I mean, we talked about the release, upcoming Clink, and then other stuff I'm just gonna have to announce as I'm wrapping up my tracks I've been working on this summer, which is pretty much all techno. I am doing a tech house remix for a friend in Berlin. But yeah, everything's out and on Spotify
Sick.
and all the web platforms. So
Before we go, I've still been trying to work this out the whole time.
okay.
Techno from Seattle, like the techno that you make is amazing. Where did this come in your life from being in the suburbs of Seattle?
I know, right?
Like
It's
this
really weird.
is weird, but I like it. I'm all for it.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, so I grew up in school bands and doing piano. I studied really heavily piano for 11 years, and I immediately I remember from an extremely young age, like under 5, young, I loved Beethoven. Like
Okay.
he was my man.
I wasn't expecting you to say that at all.
Beethoven was my jam. And
I was expecting you to say
remember,
like Joey Beltram or something like that. And I was like, okay,
no,
Beethoven.
it was
Okay.
Beethoven. Like, yeah. And I remember even being at like our neighbor's house who had a jukebox with oldies and then being like, what song do you want to hear? And I would be like, I don't like rock music. I like Beethoven. That was my thing. The drama of the music, it was very dark, it was very emotional, and it's just what I connected with since I was very young.
Yeah.
And so, fast forward to college when I got into raves, and I think it was just the same kind of low end dramatic music with big breaks and, this kind of stuff. And then when I started shopping at Platinum Records in Seattle, which is now long closed, I just started getting my hands on German techno records. And I was actually buying German techno records before I was really into Detroit techno
really?
or anything.
Yeah.
I just totally got it. Like I just connected with it. It was my sound. It was very minimal. I felt connected to the space in it and sort of the vibe. And I just ended up defining my life by it, which
Amazing.
is pretty.
I love that.
I'm pretty lucky. Yeah.
It's always interesting to see how people have kind of found, because most genres, like a lot of people find their sound when they go to like a major city, right? And they kind of get influenced by people around them. But there's something special when somebody like yourself is just found it by yourself and was like,
yeah,
I'm in. Take my money. We're in. Let's go on this roller coaster.
Yeah, it's pretty much the complete opposite of where I'm from.
Yeah,
Maybe
exactly.
that has
Yeah.
something to do with it too. I don't know.
It's the same for
But
me. Is where I'm actually from is in the UK, is the middle of nowhere. Like there's not a shop. Like I live in the countryside. I've got farms by me and everything like that. So it's
cool.
like it was the same for me, but it's kind of nice to hear that because it was very similar situation for me. It's like go into a record store that's random and finding house music really.
Yeah. And how old were you when you started quite young, no?
Yeah, I think my brother used to listen to like really cheesy like dance music. So that was kind of like the first introduction. But then first time I bought house and techno was I was like 13, I think,
Mm,
from a record store. Um,
amazing.
yeah, do you know Sam Divine? Have you heard of her?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I used to buy my records from her. She's from the same area as me, and she worked in a record
Oh.
shop. Um,
Did you have a crush on her then?
I did. I think yeah. Well, let's be honest. Like record shops weren't the friendliest of places until you knew everyone in them, right?
I still to this day get a little terrified before I walk into a record store.
Yeah.
What is that? Why?
Well,
Why is that?
I I think there's ego in the air, and I
Yeah.
don't mean that in a horrible way. I think there's just like the record shop guys and girls know every record in there. And they've like
Yeah.
studied everything and they know where it's from. They know what record label it's from. They're that proper heads. Like they know way much more music than I do.
Yeah.
And I think that was the thing. It was you had to build a relationship up with them and before you. It's like a tattoo shop. I don't know if you have tattoos, but like
Exactly.
every time I go into a tattoo shop, I get nervous, and it's
Yeah,
because
it's true.
mm, yeah,
Yes.
and I find them very similar. They're very similar kind of dynamics.
I have 5 tattoos
Yeah,
and I often feel like my tattoo artists like don't even like me.
yeah. They don't give a fuck about you.
It's like you're a cheese ball. Get out of here.
Yeah, you're not cool. You're not cool enough for us. Yeah, and that's the thing. I think it was the same thing with record shops. So when I was 13 years old, rocking up, and this where I'm from in the UK, it's the southwest. So it's drum
Mm,
and bass, and back then it was drum and bass. Dubstep wasn't even around then; it was just coming in,
yeah,
and a lot of hardcore and like happy hardcore and just like awful
I remember
music.
those days.
So all the guys that sold records in the shops were into how like happy hardcore and like drum and bass and jungle.
Yeah.
And Sam was the only house head in there. So
Oh,
like
cool.
she would just like save me records. Like eventually when you get to know people in record shops, they start saving you like the white labels and things like that. But that's how it all
Yeah.
started for me. But yeah, they were good times. They were good times.
Cool. So you had turntables already
Yeah, I bought turntables when I was 13. Yeah,
and you were mixing and everything at
yeah,
13.
yeah.
Oh, just totally on your own. Like you
No,
bought
I
them
I went to
like
this like so my parents were always like really supportive, and I knew I wanted to be like a DJ when I was like 9. I used to do like weddings and stuff like that, and just like stupid
that's
parties.
awesome.
Yeah,
I love that.
and
That's
then
cool.
I didn't really know how to fully DJ. So
Yeah.
there was this thing in the UK called the DJ Academy, which it was just this company that would go around cities and do like 10-week courses in different
Oh my
cities.
God. I love this story.
And you paid, I think it was like I don't know how much it was. I think it was like 500 quid. So I like worked at a fish and chip shop and kind of saved up my money.
That was
Um,
my first
it's
job.
the
Fish
best
and
job.
chips.
Of
Best.
course, you're Seattle, aren't you?
Yeah. That was
Yeah.
my first job.
What
I
did you,
loved it.
what was
I
your
love
role?
flipping fish.
See,
Huh?
I never cooked. I didn't get good enough to cook. I
You
was
didn't
always
flip
just,
the
I
fish?
was just rapping at the front or washing in the back.
I loved it. Everything moving so fast. I guess
Yeah,
that's why I DJ too. I think I'm calm when everything's moving fast around me because I think so fast,
yeah,
and
I feel that.
everything's going, yeah, when everything's going fast, I'm like,
Peace.
Yeah. So anyway, you're telling me.
Yeah, and then so I did this course for like 10 weeks and I got there and it was a bunch of like older guys and girls that would I was 13 years old. I didn't have a fucking clue what I was doing. I didn't know really how to turn on a pair of decks. I've never really played with a pair of decks by then.
Yeah.
And they taught you, they put you up into like beginner, medium, or like good, and they taught you everything. They didn't just teach you how to DJ. It was like they taught you about how to record a set to like, and then they taught you how to like make your own flyers, and it was just like a whole thing. It was so fucking cool.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
So you learned design too.
Yeah, you did like loads of little things like that for like 10 weeks.
Amazing.
And then at the end of it, we all threw a party together.
I love this.
Yeah.
And this is when you were 13.
Yeah.
Was it all 13-year-olds or were there
no, it was all like 30-year-olds and me.
Can you please like make a recreation of this, like a TV show or something?
It was fucking hilarious. If you look back at it, I'm like, Jesus Christ, who I'm still friends with some of them. I'm still in touch with a few of them. Can you remember DJ Trickster?
Mm-mm.
He held the like world record for like 6-deck mixing.
Oh my God.
He was one of the teachers on the course, which was kind of amazing. But it was, and then you had like a hip hop DJ that was like been in the DMCs and like taught you how to scratch and things like that. And yeah, it just all started from there, really.
Cool. That sounds awesome. I mean, I love that. I love how passionate you were at such a young age, and you kind of already knew what you wanted to do. And I think I love that. I think that's so great. And I wish that, kids had more freedom to find those things for themselves, at that age.
I totally agree. I think I was so lucky, and I'm still super lucky now. Like for my whole life, I've always known what I wanted to do. And I know that's not common at all. What about you? What was it like for you?
It was also really clear. My first, I didn't actually, I mean, because I've always been a musician, I was just a super music nerd.
Yeah.
Like I loved all the other kids were taking different electives in school, and I would take anything I could do with band. And then I would take instruments into the practice rooms and just learn them. So I could play like 11 instruments by the time I graduated from high school. Like it was just my thing.
Yeah.
I got it. Like I said, I love music because you can really like how fast everything's moving and just how it feels when you play music. It just feels so good. That's my sort of special happy place is playing music. It's my zone. And so I naturally, I mean, the first time I heard an electronic music tape, of course, being a traditional musician, I was like, that's not music. That doesn't take talent. I had
one of those.
Yeah, totally. And I would have debates with my friends. And then of course they're like, come to a rave, come to a party. And this was like 1996, I think. And I was 97 and I went and, from the moment I walked in and I felt that sound system on my body, I was just like, oh, this is it. Yeah. I loved it, but I was very curious about the act of DJing, but it didn't become clear to me until I saw my first female DJ in Vancouver, Canada. And that was Jackie Christie. And she was from New York and she was with Nervous Records. She was doing stuff with them. Classic. And she came over.
Classic. Love that record.
Yeah. And she came out and she opened up with, I must have been a hard house version of Aretha Franklin, Respect.
Really?
So, yeah. Like, oh, he has me easy. And I was just like, this is it.
Sold.
Yeah. And that moment, it was weird. It was just that moment, everything that I had thought I wanted to do with my life just completely changed. And I was like, just watching her with my jaw open and standing there. And I was like, this is what I want to do. I want to do what she does. And I watched her at the after party, and I was just like one of those nerdy people just standing, like I couldn't even dance.
Yeah.
Like my jaw was just open, and it was like, she's amazing.
Oh, I love that.
And she inspired me, and I started DJing after that.
How important is it for you to like have other female people with you in the same industry?
How important?
Yeah, because it is a very male dominated industry, but do you
Yeah.
feel do you I don't know kind of how to word it, but I guess yeah, how important is it to you to see another female DJ be successful and kind of do what they want? Is it the same feeling as when a guy is, or when a female? Is it like a little bit different?
It's been really amazing these last years. Because when my era, like the Clink era, the main stage guys, well, who was that at the time? It was like Richie Houghton,
Yeah,
Sven Vaith, Ricardo Villalobos,
yeah,
Marco Carolla. It was just like the same men over and over. And I love, like, they're all artists that I've looked up to and been
yeah,
inspired by, and but it was just owned by men for so long. And then when this sort of new school girls started coming in and taking the same kind of promotional strategies and things like this that the men were doing, and they leveled the playing field. And so, and to watch these women owning the stages
yeah,
and, like, headlining slots that were just completely unavailable to me in the mid 2000s, and it's been really cool.
yeah. I
It's
bet.
really, really amazing. And I'm super happy. I mean, we we spent a lot of years struggling and fighting just to get an opening slot. So it's been really nice to be a part of that progression and help open doors for the younger women to come in and have these spots on the stage. It's
Yeah,
been super,
I love that.
super cool. Yeah,
It's
I'm
it.
super happy to see it and to be a part of it. And yeah, it's been great.
I think it's really important the way the industry is moving. I think it is. It needed to happen at the end of the day.
Well, yeah, why wouldn't it? It
Exactly.
doesn't make any
It
sense.
makes no sense, and I don't know. I can't answer this as a guy, but do you think it was purposely done, or do you just think it was like what do you think it was about?
No, I don't. Honestly, I just think, I mean, it wasn't just music. I mean,
Mm,
women, we've been, we've been pushing for equality
yeah,
for so long. And the advances that have been made in the last 50, 60 years are just like so awesome.
yeah,
So yeah, I mean, it was a worldwide thing, and all industries had, I think, the same issues, and then all industries have seen a huge shift in women becoming very powerful and being accepted at powerful levels, and it's nice.
it's
So yeah, I
important.
don't think.
It's super
Hmm?
important because it brings such a different dynamic to the world, but also to our industry. I think at the end of the day, um,
Yeah.
everyone. I think. Have you played Halcyon in San Francisco?
No, I played the old Halcyon in New York, but that
Okay,
was many years
yeah.
ago in Brooklyn.
So Halcyon's owned by like three women, and it's run by three women, and uh, it's just a different vibe. And it would never be that vibe if it was run by three guys. It definitely wouldn't be. And I think it's really important to be able to just be like, all right, guys, let's just allow it. Let's just make it happen and make it easy for everyone to because there's so much good art out there. It doesn't have to be about who they are and what kind of, if they're male, female, or whatever they want to kind of identify as. I just don't get why it's been such an issue, really.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, aside from, I think, there being a specific dominance on the main stages
Mm.
for a long time. Outside of that, I've actually always found our music seemed to be very inclusive.
Mm.
It was just always for me, or if I think for a lot of artists, just that upper echelon was very like
Yeah.
mono cultural, monochromatic.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's the word.
Whatever.
Sorry.
Men. Just full of men.
Yeah. But I mean, on the same token, I think it's also been like incredibly inclusive and diverse, and that's what I've always loved
Yeah.
about it. It's just all the different people that you meet and the interesting conversations, and everybody has a different story and a different struggle, and just wants to be seen on the same level, and just wants to kick it and be there. And that's what I love about the dance music community,
Totally.
is how open it is. So
Totally.
yeah.
I like it. Let's wrap it up. We've just done an hour and 15 minutes.
Whoa, that was fast.
It went quick, didn't it? Always goes quick
Yeah.
on these things. Thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it. It's been really nice to talk. Can't wait to see you in September.
Yeah, I'm excited too.
Keep safe.
Thank you.
See you soon. Bye. And that's a wrap. Huge love to everybody that listened. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to share it. Keep safe. See you next time.